episode 4 of the Chatterbox podcast with me, Callum.
And me, James.
And here we are. It's Christmas time.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas, everybody. Obviously, we've been banging on a little bit about the Christmas model on our social media pages, which is going to come up later on the episode.
Banging on.
Banging on. It's quite exciting, actually, because so me and James haven't actually seen each other's models yet. And we've got them right here on the table. If you're watching video, if you're on the podcast, there's a little table next to us. Our models are currently under what looks like a Blood Bowl Chaos Team instruction booklet and another instruction booklet as well, so we've had to make do with that.
High level stuff.
High level stuff. That's what we do here on the Chatterbox, with really high level stuff. So that's going to come up later on. I'm super excited about it, but something I need to clear up first, James. So apparently in the last episode I mentioned your group, so which we play Warhammer with Pat and Dave and everyone else. And Dave messaged me and said that I was incorrect in saying that.
Okay.
And in fact, I should have said it was our group.
Oh.
And it really did warm my heart. I'm going to try and quickly find now exactly what he said. He said, you made a mistake on the podcast. I said, go on.
Yeah.
He said, I know it's a bit of an event for your group, but you're in the group, so you should have said our group. And I just thought, that's so nice. And it really has been a pleasure, honestly, in this last year of being part of our little meta, our little group, and playing those games with you guys. And it has been, super, super, super fun. So
yeah, it's been good having you. And without being too soppy, it's been great having like a new person join our group.
Yeah, and I think we'll probably bring this up later on in the episode, actually, because I've got some points to make about it. But this hobby has brought me into this and it has introduced me to new people as well. Off the back of that, though, I do have an announcement to make.
Yeah.
Dave, I know how nice you were in that message, but also it's been brought to my attention that we're rivals and we are yet to face each other on the battlefield. So this is an official call out. 2024. Dave, I'm coming for you.
I would just like to point out that my 6-year-old boy has already said that he thinks that Callum is better than Dave.
I think is it the other way around?
Is it the other way around?
I think it's the other way. I think it's just Dave. Either way, your 6-year-old son has started a fight between two grown men around plastic models, and I think that's the most important point we're making here at the moment. So anyway, the point is 2024, Dave, I'm coming for you. I don't care what army it is. I don't care what armor you bring. You are going down on the table in front of plastic terrain.
Ground.
You're going to be humiliated in front of everybody that you know and love. So I'm going to put that out there as an announcement. Also, thank you for the lovely message as well.
Just side note,
Oh, okay. So let's get into the meat of the podcast then. So what have you been up to, James?
Oh, so I have actually managed to get some games in this time.
Excellent, which is something we haven't been doing recently.
That's at least one a week.
Okay.
The first one was a mirror matchup. It was quite good. It was a sisters v sisters.
You don't see them very often.
No.
I suppose unless you go to like real competitive events, but especially casual, friendly play, you don't really see mirror matchups.
Yeah, I mean, it was a chance for my friend to get used to their new army.
Okay.
So not the fairest of matchups, but I quite enjoyed it. A couple of mistakes made, probably on both sides, but I think the fact that my friend didn't know their army didn't particularly help.
Okay,
but that's what we play for, isn't it? Just those opportunities to learn.
Yeah, and I think that can happen sometimes is when you're playing a new army. I mean, I don't have that much experience with this. I've only got 2 armies, but especially when I started my second army as well. When you don't know the rules, it can be a little bit of a slog. For both people, I think sometimes, for you yourself, when you're playing the army, you have to keep like reading, what can I do here? I'm sure there's a stratagem for that. I'm sure there's a rule for this. And then obviously for the other person as well, you've got to stand there and watch them. And, if you're a good player, obviously that's perfectly fine. But I can understand that can be a bit of an issue.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite tricky, isn't it? Because you don't know your army, you don't know what things do. You're just trying everything at the same time. So, you're not necessarily walking into that battle expecting to win.
And do you find mirror matchups, I mean, what are they like compared to...
Well, I don't normally get to do them.
Yeah.
But I was quite excited for it because, having a mirror matchup is an opportunity for you to learn something as well. Like maybe someone does something different with a unit that you would have never thought of.
Yeah, so obviously it's your army in front of you. They might do something completely different
or play
that you've never thought about before.
Use
but,
a different
that worked
unit.
really well.
Yeah.
or they might do something really naff, and you think, well, I'm not going to try that now.
Yeah, I know that doesn't
They've
work.
already done it,
Yeah.
so I know that doesn't work. So
Yeah. So they took Seraphim, and I normally take the Zephyrim, which are basically flying jetpack sisters. One are melee based, if ones are dual pistols. The Zephyrim are the dual pistols. I can't see them working hugely well, but I think they do get play. They've got interesting janky stuff, but pistols, not for me.
there are some, I'm segueing now. Pistols in game, I always forget about.
Yeah.
I always forget about pistols, and I think recently I used pistols, and it really helps your combat a lot, because if you actually remember to use pistols, you can actually soften your target up for melee a little bit
Just
more before you get
helps a
into it.
little
But
bit,
I
yeah.
always forget pistols.
Well, something I've recently, it's obviously been a rule the entire time, but I just quite like the lore effect of you can either use all pistols or all of the weapons. So if you've got pistols, you kind of just imagine the guy going down the road just like pew 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 pew. Obviously with
Like
more
John
manly
Wayne. Yeah, of
sounds,
course, yeah.
not
a big-
not pew pews.
No, not pew pews, no. Big
much
bang bangs and big dusty leather jackets.
Yeah.
And pew 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 pew.
I mean, they could make that
It
sound.
could be, that's I don't know.
We don't know.
Yeah.
Might be the last thing you hear.
Some sort of like a really hidden Jacaro technology that makes some real weird noise before you die. I mean, imagine getting killed by something that makes a noise that says pew. And that's the last thing you ever...
That could be part of their psychological warfare.
Oh, yes, that's it, yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, it'll be fine. Pew pew.
You could die in a...
Ow!
Oh, you're about to die in a very childish way. Anyway, sorry, we've digressed anyway, so you're talking about the game.
Yeah, so Sisters, and then the other game I had was last night I used my demons.
Nice, okay.
Whips out my Bloodthirster.
No,
First
okay.
time I've used him, actually.
And how did he do? Did he turn up?
I still can't get used to bringing big demons in.
Yeah, because I know you've said before you've had a little bit of an issue with your demons at the moment, and you're still trying to work them out, how to play them correctly. And
Yeah, so I brought in. I tried to bring him in rapid ingress, and then remembered in the first turn that you can't do it in first turn, and then he didn't seem right to bring him in second turn, and then brought him in third turn. So you're kind of wasting quite a lot of points for most of the game. But when he did come, he started, smashing people's face.
I've had a couple of issues with that as well with reserve. I mean, I know reserves are really good, but it does mean it does take a model out for a whole turn.
A couple, yeah.
Yeah, and there's new rules now in 10th as well. There's mission rules that can state that it's more difficult for you to bring in reserves as well for the first two turns, and you can only bring them in. You can only bring them in guaranteed on the third turn, and that really takes a lot out. Especially if I'm playing Space Marines, I've got like Terminators. They're close to 200 points. If they're in reserves and I can't get them into the third turn, that's a real big knock.
It's a lot of time.
This is like
you're
a
not
1,000
doing
point
anything.
match as well. That can be a real big, real big knock to that. So
It's it does have its place, and it is useful. And what I have found from that is it is effective. Like my demons are getting in now, whereas they were just getting shot off the board straight turn one, like turn two, not doing anything. But at least they are getting in and doing stuff. But it just feels wrong having them off the board for so long.
and who are you playing against?
Thousand Suns.
Thousand Suns. Okay.
Yeah. Lots of nasty.
Lots of nasty
Weapons
psycho stuff. Yeah.
Oh,
I've heard
that
Doombolt is an issue.
just
Yeah.
awful.
So explain to me Doombolt, because I haven't actually come across it yet. Or
So essentially, I think there's these things called Cabal points. You basically get them from each Psyker in your army. So basically, you build them up as might be like 1 or 2 per character. And then I think Doombolt is like something that is cast as what probably used to be what's it called? Witchfire? No, Smite.
Smite.
But
yeah.
the equivalent of lots of smites going off for the whole army, but instead it's just one dice roll. So what they do is it costs like 7 Cabal points. They just roll a dice, and they just say, right, that unit. And depending on what dice roll you get, depends on how many mortal wounds you take.
Okay. And this is, I've heard, it's unfailable. Is that a word? Unfailable?
Yeah, it's unfailable. There's no fail state. You can't. So if you roll a 1, it's just something like D3 mortal wounds.
Wow. So it's basically it's guaranteed mortal wounds. Just
And
point at this. I want that to be hurt.
And as far as we understand at the moment, it also ignores lone operative.
Oh wow. Okay. So it's extra.
Yeah, there's no
extra problematic.
And you don't have to hit. You don't have to wound. It's just auto wounds. It's
Oh man.
horrible.
Okay. Yeah.
Really, really horrible.
Do you think it's going to see a nerf?
I'm hoping that it's an oversight on GW's part in terms of the lone operative side.
Yeah.
I don't think a nerf is necessarily what it needs. I think the lone operative is a bit clunky. They need to clarify that, I think, specifically, just so it's clear.
To gain Cabal points, what do you have to do to get that? Is it quite easy, or
So it's just I think it's per turn you
Right.
get them. So
a bit like command points?
yeah. So say
Okay.
per character you'd have like 3. So say you got like 6 or 7 guys on the board, you'd have like 3 times 7, 21 points.
Okay.
And they,
Okay. Right. It's relative.
pool.
It's relative to the amount of
Characters.
models,
Yeah,
or
so if
characters you even. Sorry. Yeah.
yeah. So if you take out like the leaders of squads and stuff, then you start like slowly bringing that pool down a little bit. But that's not so easy.
No. Okay. So yeah, not fun playing against them. And what was the outcome?
Yeah, I won. Yeah.
Oh, you won. Okay.
Yeah, I was like all over the board, like board
Yeah.
domination.
I suppose demons are they quite good at that? They're quite fast, very combatty, getting in people's faces. You want to be, all over the place, spreading around. Yeah.
Spreading that corn filth
spread
everywhere.
that corn filth.
Yeah, no, I had a pretty nasty first turn. Lost my demon prince, blew my own character up. What was it? A change caster, like a 70-point model, just instant hazardous.
You blew
killed
this up.
Yeah,
Is that trying to do a psychic attack?
it was a
on you?
hazardous. Yeah, rolled a 1, three mortal wounds.
Don't
He
worry
had
about
3
it, guys.
wounds.
I've
Yeah.
got this, and head just explodes.
Oh
Oh my god!
It was the first time I'd used that character as well, so I had no idea what he did and still don't. Yeah, so lost that, and then I also lost an entire squad of horrors, pink horrors, which is quite
Nice.
difficult to do.
Yeah.
They're actually insanely durable, and they just got deleted.
We'll give you a medal. We'll get you a medal for that.
alongside a couple of other units. Yeah, I think I lost probably a quarter of my army in the first turn. Yeah,
jeez.
like 500 points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But obviously, you come out with a W in the end, which is really good.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, but it basically shows that, first turn you are going to take casualties, but, later turns you can pull it back.
Obviously, you can remember this quite well because you've played last night.
Yeah, it was yesterday.
I played a game as well
Yep.
in the flash, but of course it was a few weeks ago, and I'm now struggling to remember what happened. But I did play Space Marines.
Okay.
I played against Gene Stealer Cults.
Yep.
Now, Gene Stealer Cults are a pain in the arse. Really, really, really annoying. Some of their rules are just so frustrating. I mean, it's very Gene Stealery. It's super fluffy. They just pop up whenever they want. I'm trying to remember the rule now. So they're neophytes. I think if you kill a part of their squad, they can roll to come bring some of them back.
Okay.
If you kill the whole squad, they can roll just to come back in full force.
Yeah.
And it seemingly seems impossible to get rid of them. However, I got very lucky. I did take out a squad of neophytes, and they didn't come back, and that really, really helped me out. I played Space Marines, which I've notoriously lost with every single time I play with them. I've never seemed to have been able to get a win, but I did get a win this time, and I think it was sheerly because I've been playing Death Guard more.
Yeah.
And because I've been playing Death Guard, and they're a lot more, at least the way I play them, I want to get them up the board more, in people's faces a lot more. I want them all over the place. I did the same thing with my Space Marine, so I built my list to accommodate that, being very, very close. I've also started using the new detachment, which is the Firestorm Assault, which is kind of like your Salamanders type flavour attachment.
Yeah.
So previously I would stand back and just try and make a gun line. I'd stay, within cover and just get knocked off the board. This time I ran very much, forward and into crowds of people, and it worked out
really well.
Way better for me. Now, I've only got one game to base it on, so I don't know. We had to do loads more to find out whether that works, but I had so much more fun that way of playing my Space Marines in a different way. For me personally, in a different way that I would play them normally. And it worked out, and I got a very convincing win in the end, thankfully. I'm sorry about that, Aaron. It was a very nice game for me, of course. We played well, but also I even changed up just the way I play in general. So there was a moment actually where there was a lot of neophytes around a corner. I think again, there's 20 of them. They were around a corner, and they had to turn the corner to get onto the middle of the battlefield. And I remember thinking, I don't really want them in the middle of the battlefield. And I had one Space Marine left. This squad was dead. Like, he's only one. He's on his own. As hard as Space Marines are on the tabletop, they can die very easily. And normally I would just charge them. I'd charge him at that squad of neophytes to stop them from coming forward. At this time, I thought, no, I'm just going to stand in the way.
Yeah.
Because if I charge him now, then he gets to attack back and he'll beat me in combat.
Yeah.
Which means next turn he can
do whatever.
he can freely move
for a whole turn. Yeah.
So if I stand him in the way of this little corridor, this little corner, and not charge him, which I didn't do, which I think he thought, oh, okay, he's not charging, fine, let's go. He then, his turn, he had to come at me, which completely locked them out, out of a whole turn of getting into the centre position. And in that turn, I managed to get a lot of people into the centre. I bolstered it up. I got a tank there, more units there, got harder hitting units there. I managed to hold midfield really well. So just even that little kind of like, little change to my play style really helped me out in that.
Yeah, and it sounds really good because making your opponent have a decision is useful.
Yeah.
Like he might then choose to shoot at that unit as well, which would then be another unit that he's not shooting at, or how many of this squad do I allocate to this single guy? Am I going to overkill him? If I don't allocate enough, then he's still going to be there, he's still going to be an issue. But if I allocate too much, that's like resources lost that could be shooting at something else. It's those decisions that you're forcing on your opponent, which make, I think there's like a fatigue element to games.
Oh, yeah. I mean, even when we got to... So I actually did this game after work, and I work in another city from my home city as well. So it was quite late anyway, and I think we got to round 3, and even then I was like, okay, there's a lot going on here, and I've got to think about this and that. But thankfully we stuck it out. It was don't get me wrong, it was a very, very good game. It was a really, really fun game. But yeah, just using that one model was a real helpful thing right in the middle of the match there. And I think it was like turn 3, so it was really pivotal at that moment.
And these are the sort of things you'll probably pick up as you go along, and I still do it. I think, that's such a brilliant like maneuver or something. I've done something different in this game that you wouldn't normally think about, and you just take that forward or you change it somewhat.
That wasn't my intention either. That squad of intercessors was meant to do something.
Yeah.
And they didn't. They got
decimated.
They got battered really quickly.
Yeah.
And I had one left, and I just thought, well, he's dead. How can I use him?
Yeah.
Now, and again, previously I would have looked at that one dead. I would, that's it.
Might as well just throw him in.
Yeah. What's the point? But I thought, no, okay, he can still,
he's still functional.
He can actually die with honour here. He can actually do something functionally.
Yeah.
And
actually won the games like MVP, but dead.
And I think we're going to talk later on in the episode, aren't we, about kind of like styles and what we've learned and that. But that was a major one for me, really, really major. So yeah, really, really good game. So
no, good.
We've both had good games.
Quite successful,
quite successful learning experiences. Also, what I've been up to as well, I've been obviously listening to loads of 40k lore and reading books. I've just started the second book now of the Horus Heresy.
Yeah,
seems really good.
Yeah,
again, of course, following remembrances and and now I think from the start of this book, I'm assuming this is where. So Lunar Wolves, they were called Lunar Wolves, weren't they? Yeah. They've now become Sons of Horus. So obviously this is where it all starts to change a little bit, and people are getting a little bit more angry and. Dissent has been sown amongst everyone.
Starts messing around with stuff.
Yeah, I haven't come to that part yet, but I can't wait. I can't wait to see all these, the Primarchs get involved in this. But I've also been listening to podcasts as well, and came across a really interesting, I didn't even know this piece of lore existed.
Okay,
and it's really obscure. I'm going to get my phone out for a second. Excuse me.
Yeah.
But there is a planet in the 40k universe called Birmingham. There is, yeah. There's a planet called Birmingham. Now, so for our listeners and our watchers, I don't know whether you may have noticed we have Birmingham accents. We are from Birmingham, so it's very close to us. So there's a planet called Birmingham, and I won't read everything into it, whatever. But essentially, it's described as a black planet.
Yeah,
and it's just dark and horrible and full of industry, and no one really wants to be there.
Yeah, I mean, industry definitely.
It's obviously
the Black
Birmingham,
Country.
Black Country. So the history of Birmingham, obviously industrial city. We have something called the Black Country. The Black Country is where a lot of the industry was. It's called that because of the amount of smoke
and the
factories that that was me. So, but quite hilariously, it was called the Black Planet. No one really wants to go there.
Yeah.
It's full of smog. It's not very nice. However, there is a Space Marine chapter that's on that planet.
And what is that
called
chapter?
The Harbingers. Now, the Harbingers are a loyalist chapter.
Yeah.
They're of unknown founding. However, I was like, I wonder how much Games Workshops have gone into the whole Birmingham thing. So I looked at the chat. So I'm going to show James here. You can't really see. We'll put a picture up somewhere. But that's the colours of the Harbingers chapter.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I thought, well, what's the colours of the official Birmingham flag?
Is it the same?
They're the same.
That's great.
So just the colours for anyone listening so the Harbingers are kind of they're yellow. So imagine the main parts of their armour is yellow, except for the head and torso, which is blue, and then the chest aquila is red, and the colours of the Birmingham flag is red, blue, and yellow. So there you go. It's a little nod to our city. So if we actually wanted to have a real loyal chapter to who you are, then that would be the one to do it. I thought it was really interesting.
I do like that actually, because obviously, human history has a lot of like different myths and mythology and legends and folklore and all sorts of different things that we have in our history. And I think Games Workshop has taken a lot of those aspects and transformed them slightly into the 40k universe.
Yeah, I think, and obviously, Games Workshop's being from Nottingham initially. Obviously, they would have really set and grounded within the UK.
Yeah.
I assume back in the 80s and 90s. Obviously, it was very tongue-in-cheek. I mean, it's still quite tongue-in-cheek now, but back in the day, it was a lot more silly. And I assume there was a lot more jokes like that. So just coming across that Birmingham thing was like really nice. I can just imagine some guys sat in an art room or the war room at Games Workshop thinking, oh, you know what, I'm going to rib on Birmingham here.
Like it might have even been a guy from Birmingham as a designer. Yeah, it was just like, I fancy putting a planet called Birmingham in here and giving them a chapter of Space Marines.
Oh, Birmingham's not a very nice place, is it? So if we just get
no one wants to go there.
If I think of the grimdark of the 41st millennium, I think of Birmingham city centre.
We're there now.
We're there right now. Oh man. So speaking, on the games and changing up styles as well. I think you mentioned that you saw something on Reddit recently that mentioned something about gaming and starting out.
Yeah, so I was just scrolling through Reddit as you do, and this post had got quite a lot of traction. It was on the 40k subreddit, and I won't go into too much detail, but to summarise, it was basically saying that a chap had started Warhammer recently. His friend had got him into it. It sounded like they were playing ninth rules, but the friend was he was kind of changing rules and not letting him do things and being quite awkward with a lot of things. And I think the person who wrote the post essentially felt like this other guy was cheating or playing for advantage, and obviously being a new player,
taking advantage almost of a newer player.
Yeah, which is obviously not cool. I mean, we don't know the ins and outs.
I think I actually saw this post now that you're talking about it. Yeah,
yeah. It was not. I mean, it didn't sound great, but I just wanted to bring that up really because obviously I brought you back into 40k.
Did you sired me into 40k? Yes,
and we had quite a lot of games where I did beat you. But not. I was trying to do it like in a nice way, not necessarily make you feel bad about this, because obviously it's in my interest that you get into it, so then I have another person to play with. But of course, I'm not on the receiving end of that. So, and I know you had a bit of a hard time with it, so I'd like to hear your.
It was tough at first, I must admit, and I think obviously there's very many ways, isn't there, of teaching people things, and certain people are more receptive to a certain type of learning. Playing against you when I first started was really intense. It was quite hardcore. You didn't really hold back at all. In fact, just to reminisce, you played one game. So just to clarify, back during this time, I only had a few Space Marines. I just bought 2 combat patrol boxes.
Yeah.
So I had very limited. So my army, 1,000 points was literally what I had. And you played Eldar. And you just chased me into a corner and held me there the entire game. And I was just like, this is awful. I'm not having fun whatsoever. And then you were like, okay, I'm going to use this. What was the ability? It was a stratagem. It was like It was like a bit like orbital bombardment for Space Marines. But for Space Marines, that went off in the next turn. But for Eldar, it was just like, no, that happens now.
Yeah.
And it's like, you can't save it. And it's going to happen right now. And it's going to blow all your Marines up. And I was like, there's nothing I can do. You're like, nope. I was like, okay. And then you obviously went on to win the game. However, in saying that, it did teach me a lot.
Yeah.
Playing against you and having someone who didn't really hold back gave me a true sense of what the game can be like. And you know, bear in mind, we're not competitive players. We're not trying to win things here. It's just when we do play, we're quite competitive people. We will play to win. That's what it's for. We're not going to play there just to shake hands and just laugh. You know, whatever happens. But we do want to play to win. That's the fun of it, isn't it? So, so it was nice having you be a little bit more aggressive. However, I must say there were moments where I probably didn't understand the rules so much, and maybe you didn't explain it as well. And he came at me very hard and very quick, and I didn't quite know what was happening. It was all a big flash. Also, as a new player, there's so many rules. There are so many rules to learn, and you have to, for someone who's experienced, you've got a certain amount of those rules locked away that you can just recall upon at any moment. You haven't got to think about it. So all you've got to think about is your army. Whereas I was thinking about my army, the terrain, how to move, how do you roll, what abilities. Well, abilities were kind of less so in 9th edition, but you know, all that kind of stuff. There was so much to think about. So sometimes it was a bit difficult. Yeah. And I probably wanted you to explain a few things a little bit more, but you didn't. We played. We've had fun, and now we play competitive against each other now. And you know, you're still better than I am, but I'm still learning a lot. But yeah, it's certainly better than what it used to be. You know, I can bring the challenge a little bit more now. Anyway, so
yeah, I mean, it's definitely good hearing your side of it. I think it's tricky because I don't want to sort of like, you know, yeah.
No, well, go on.
I didn't feel like I was being particularly nasty in a lot of my scenarios, but obviously that's the way it came across.
Well, this is the funny thing, because I don't think you were, because you've been much nastier since.
Yeah. And that was kind of my approach, really, was that, you know, I slowly amp it up. As I feel like you're getting better and understand different things, that's when I'll like be like, oh, okay, so he's got this now. Now I can go a bit harder.
It was quite a funny moment when I actually finally beat you, and you were just like, okay, well, now I can just turn it up. And I was like, okay. That's it. That's the end of that.
Now I can take the brakes off.
I'll take the brakes off now. I'm just going to start smashing you every time I play you. There was a very nice moment though when you brought. We obviously went down to our friend's house to play the Warhammer weekend, and you text me saying, "Oh, I've made this list." Yeah. And it's just deadly. It's unstoppable. Basically,
just to pre-warn
you're all going to cry. Don't worry about it. Like, turn up, have a beer, have some fun, but don't worry, I'm going to win. Yeah. And ironically, I was the only person who didn't beat that weekend.
all of those games, I think I won in the first turn. Yeah. Except against you.
Me and you went to round 5, round to the last point, and it drew.
That was an amazing game.
It was a really, and honestly, so that really good point that you say it's an amazing game, because though stressful and it wasn't a very nice game during it, because you had some horrible stuff going on. Yeah. Thankfully, in my defense, some you couldn't get it off, or you misrolled. I had some nice rolls. Again, trying to remember back now, I wasn't rolling hot, but when I rolled well, it mattered. And it came down to the wire. And though stressful, probably one of the funniest games I've ever had in my life.
And that's the thing, isn't it? It's about those close games, I think, are the best games. But I think the reason that you did so well, apart from obviously, you know, the way that you played, but mine was like Alpha Strike. Yeah. So after the first turn, if you could weather that pretty well,
you needed to get everything you wanted to do off in turn 1. Yeah. And if that didn't work, then
it was just a
plan B
game.
Was just wild.
It was just
wild card all over the place. Yeah. But no, really, really fun, and you know, I really enjoyed that game. And that comes on to, again, so, you know, you're saying to me when you initially taught me, you were quite hard. I was a new player, had a lot to learn, and there's certain things that I did during that game that I just wouldn't do. I wouldn't do anymore.
Does anything spring to mind?
Well, so I had a message off a friend of mine, Matt, if you're listening. Thank you for the message. You asked me this question. You said, you know, what would you not do these days, or what does a newer player do that you quickly learn not to do. And the biggest thing for me is positioning.
Yeah.
It's 100% positioning. It's where you put your models. Now, if you're listening to this and you're like James, you're more of a veteran player, that's going to sound ridiculous. You're going to be like, well, of course. Why would you not think of? But honestly, as a new player, you just don't think about positioning. You don't think about where to put the models. You also don't think about distances as well. So I was convinced, for some reason, this might be coming from playing ball games as a kid. If a model can move 6 inches, I'd move 6 inches.
Yeah.
If a model can move 12 inches, I would move 12 inches. But that meant I was just running into nowhere.
Yeah.
You can move an inch.
Yeah.
Or 2 inches.
Yeah.
Or backwards. And at first, I didn't see the game that way. I thought it always had to be like in a front warfare where you had to keep engaging your enemy, you had to keep moving towards your enemy, you had to keep, But really, you can go anywhere you want. And if a unit's in trouble, then back them out.
Yeah.
Go behind something else, just have them out for a little bit, and so they can, get into a much better position later on.
Yeah.
And it comes back to the game that I played, last week, using that one Space Marine as a newer player. Yeah, oh, he's dead. I'll just run him at that. I don't care. But no, in fact, use him as a cork. He's going to cork up that area now.
Yeah.
And then think ahead. It's a bit like chess. Think ahead in a way, as that's going to hold him up for one more turn. Gives me one turn of doing whatever I want over here on the board. I am using my hand. If you're listening to it, my hands are everywhere at the moment.
Yeah, it's good. It's good for our videos. It's good for our YouTube videos.
Good for videos. So positioning, massive. Movement, massive. Don't always think you have to be engaging everything you can see. And the biggest rule of all, which I played very much in our last game, play the objective.
Yeah.
What is your objective?
It's so hard though. It just goes against the grain.
Of course
so
it's
many.
hard. Yeah. It's a tabletop war game.
Yeah, and you just want to roll and kill things and make your opponent take stuff off the board.
There was a comment that you were having, I think, a back and forth recently on a Reddit post. You asked about list building.
Yeah.
And one of the comments I actually initially took as a bit of a dick comment.
Yeah.
I thought he was kind of like, taking a piss a little bit.
Yeah.
But no, he was right. He was just like, it is just
you're
both just standing there looking at each other. So just play your points.
Yeah.
Go to an objective. It's a bit of a cold way of playing, but there are parts of the game when you're playing where that's important. Of course, you've got to play your objectives, and that's how you win.
Yeah, definitely. It's tricky, isn't it? I think if it was me, I think probably the most important thing I would say, and this may change in the future, but target priority.
Yes.
Which is really difficult as a new player.
You
because you need to know everybody else's
to teach me
army.
this a lot as well. When we first started playing, you kept saying target priority. Again, though, I don't know what a target is.
Or what stuff does, what a threat is, what things can do. It's difficult,
and physically, a big model always looks worse than a small model.
Yeah.
But like, I'm trying to think.
Eradicators.
I'm trying to think of like a crappy big model.
Yeah, like a rhino.
Yeah, like a rhino. It's not very good. Yeah, rhino is actually the perfect example because it looks like a tank.
Yeah.
But it's not. All it is a bus. It's a bus with spikes on it. That's all it is. It doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
It can fire a couple of bolts off. It's basically a big blocky Space Marine. That's all it is. But yet people will look at newer players look at rhinos and think, oh my god, there's a tank on the board. That's a threat.
Yeah.
That might as well be a repulsor executioner for all I know.
Yeah.
So they'll go for that. Whereas like eradicators, I'm using Space Marine references because they're easy for me, and I assume a lot of people know Space Marines. But eradicators, very threatening. Not as big as a tank.
Yeah.
Very, very threatening. Eldar, your fire dragons. Oh my! I learnt a lesson that day.
People absolutely hate fire dragons. I wouldn't mind, but they are literally like a kamikaze unit. You kill one thing. I need that to die. Fire dragons, off you go.
That's what I think. Fire dragons just go delete.
They do delete.
They're a delete button. Yeah. They just go, well, I don't like that. That's gone. Yeah,
but they're dead afterwards.
You sent these fire dragons in, and this is one of our early games. Again, this is what it comes to like lack of experience. They're tiny little models.
Yeah.
They haven't had a model update. So they what's their print from now? It's like the 90s.
God, it'd be like old, 2000s at least.
Yeah, 2000s at least. These little, models that are really old school GW turn up. You're a newer player. You're like, well, they're not much. I don't know.
Brightly
And
coloured.
brightly coloured. Yours are very brightly coloured. Yeah.
I did have a comment recently. They were like, "Oh, fire dragons." I looked at the fire profile,
Yeah.
which obviously isn't what fire dragons do. It's the melter guns that they
It's,
carry.
well, they're metal. Yeah, well, it's fusion.
But
Is it fusion
it's
cannons?
quite confusing because obviously you think fire dragons would have a flamer.
Yeah, well, yeah. But I suppose it's like salamanders. They love melters, but fire, melter.
Yeah.
Is melter hot? I imagine it's hot.
It's like super. It's like the sun.
I
think.
imagine you probably wouldn't feel it though. If it hit you.
Yeah, I don't think you'd have time.
You'd just be just look like a puddle of ice
Feeling
cream.
a bit warm now.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Oh, God, take my jumper off. I've been hit by a melter shot.
Just every now, just people in camp and just like shooting into the floor just to like warm themselves up.
Much better. Anyway, I don't know where we went with that, but yeah, so fire dragons, exactly, and then you went, okay, my fire dragon's here. I was like, oh yeah, fine. I'm just going to focus on this gigantic tank over here.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to shoot my fire dragons. Roll. Oh,
Everyone's dead.
everyone's dead. I was like, wow, I do not like them whatsoever.
You just have to trade up.
Yeah. So target priority, really important. But then I suppose that comes with, I suppose a good opponent would tell the other player what their models do. But let's be honest, that's very time consuming.
Yeah, I think there's certain etiquettes. I think it depends obviously on the your own local meta.
Go on.
No, go on.
I've got a question. How do you feel about gotcha moments? Because they're generally looked down upon in Games Workshops. But sometimes when you play a game, I do feel like you've got to have an idea of something, and you kind of need your opponent not to be
super aware of it.
Not in a sense that you're hiding something, but you're trying to get a plan to spring, and plans don't spring very well if
You tell
you're
them
constantly
about it.
telling your opponent what
Yeah.
you're about to do. So I don't know how you feel about this.
I think there's I think I was kind of gonna go.
Just very quickly, for anyone listening who doesn't understand what a gotcha moment is, a gotcha moment is when you are trying to do something on the board which is secretive. Essentially secretive, isn't it? You're trying to do a plan to kill or get an objective, or you're trying to achieve something, but you have a plan in your own head. And then when your opponent does something, you then spring it, and that's kind of like a gotcha. And it's sometimes it can be considered poor etiquette to not let your opponent know. I suppose when it comes to abilities, if you don't let your opponent know what ability your squad has and you only spring it at that moment, that can be a bit of a feels bad moment.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely think it depends where you're playing and who you're playing.
Okay.
If you're playing, your friends, and it's a very casual game,
Yeah.
or it's the first time you've used these things, then yeah, definitely, I'd probably say this thing can do this, and then maybe remind them once throughout the game. Personally, but I think if you're used to playing that person, there's only so many times I'm going to tell you,
and
this unit can do this.
Okay, perhaps maybe I'm looking at it from a different point of view here, because I only play my friends, and we all know each other now. So sometimes I want a plan to go off, and I have this kind of like moral battle in my head of like, shall I tell them that this can happen now? I mean, do they remember that? But if I tell them, then they'll just go, okay, then I'm not going over there, and then I completely lose that.
And
that
that's
part
the thing,
of the,
though, isn't it? If you've done it, if you've done it
I'm
to me,
setting up to do something.
if you've done it to me 10 times, and in the last 9 games you've told me about it,
okay,
I feel like it's kind of on me at that point to remember.
Whereas if I'm fielding a new army and you're like, I don't know what that. Does, okay, I'll tell you. Yeah, okay. That
And obviously,
makes sense.
and to be fair, if I was running a tournament, and I've not gone to a tournament, but if I was to do a tournament, probably wouldn't be telling people either.
And that's the thing. I think maybe it comes down to tournament play. I can't imagine doing that in a tournament because I'm trying to win.
I do think people do it. They'll say, "Oh, just to let you know," but it might be a start thing. So start the battle.
Start the
this
battle.
unit does this,
okay, I understand.
and then it's down to you to remember for the next 5 turns.
Yeah. Yeah, no, okay. I suppose it's about knowing your opponent, really, isn't it? And knowing the match. It's very contextual in a sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
However, it isn't right though to actively hide something.
Well, you're there to have a good time, aren't you?
You can't actively hide things. You can't have a unit that can like suddenly kill something when it's in 6 inches and does not announce that until the very moment they turn up within 6 inches. Okay, actually, no, they're dead.
Yeah, because I think we've all had experiences where that has happened.
Oh, yeah.
And you go home like a little bit disgruntled.
And again, as a newer player, you don't know all these abilities. And you could tell me at the start of the match, okay, he does that, she does that, she does this, da-da-da-da. Mate, I've forgot in a minute.
Yeah.
I have no idea. You know what I mean?
And even the names in 40k are hard.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know what that unit is called, let alone what it does.
I think that's why the new Primaris Space Marines have been named in such a way. Intercessor, Incurser, Inceptor, Eradicator. It's very clear.
So hard.
Yeah.
I would say that was really hard.
Oh, you think that's
like
hard?
An intercessor,
Okay.
like they're all eyes.
Yeah.
Intercessor,
yeah, they all kind of sound very similar. Aggressor.
Yeah.
Aggressor, yeah.
It's not... not obvious to me necessarily.
So, you as a more experienced player, is there anything you've changed in your gameplay? Let's do a little bit of a twofold question. So, anything you've done in your gameplay, which you've changed over the years, which has worked very well, and also things that you've spotted from new players, which you just think, why are you doing that? Which you obviously, when you learn something and become more experienced in something, you start to forget.
Yeah, that's
silly
the
stuff
thing that you're doing. Yeah,
and then when you see someone do the silly stuff, you're like, "What the hell is he doing that for?"
It is hard. It's hard to look back on how I play and how I used to play. I think I'm a very aggressive player, and I think that's kind of come on more strongly as I've sort of gone forward, and it works quite well for me because I like board domination.
Mm-hmm.
I think we pre-discussed it earlier. Say, for example, you put a unit down. That's like in the middle of the board, and I'm a combat army. That's just going to help me get there faster.
Yes,
that charge move, I'm going to be able to move my normal move, charge in. That's an extra 6 inches closer I am to you.
Yeah. So you can move forward, advance. Well, advance and charge different, but yeah, you've got that charge range. Then you've got an extra potential 12 inches.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Back, so you can't physically charge me next turn. And then you're kind of thinking, well, if they move forward, then I can charge them, or it's all based on. I'm thinking that couple of steps ahead, which is tricky to do because obviously you need to sort of have a kind of rough plan as to what you want to do. But then at the same time, you pulling your own plan off or making people do what you want them to do. So I think no, it wasn't a game that we had. I had another game recently with Harlequins and Thousand Suns, and essentially. Harlequins are very quick, so I kind of ran around until I separated their army into a more manageable chunk.
Yes, okay.
And then just fired at that army.
And because you had the speed to do that as well.
Yeah, so I could keep my unit as like a big... My whole army could move as like a big unit all on its own. But I played my game. Yes. That was my strength. I made them do what I wanted to do. And I was quite happy running around until they joined in the chase, as it were.
Have you ever found that someone new or someone inexperienced does something so wacky it completely throws you off and actually ends up to the detriment of you?
Well, yeah, I mean, you can overanalyze stuff, can't you?
A little example of this, just to help lubricate your thoughts, is I play Counter-Strike quite a lot, and I was playing with someone who used to be Global Elite. Global Elite being the top rank, and not very many people are Global Elite. And he was playing with us. We were experienced, and he got battered.
Yeah,
because he said no one's standing where they should be stood.
Yeah.
As in the opponent, that is.
Yeah.
They're normally around that corner because veteran and experienced pro players will play a certain position. And he would turn a corner and go, oh, they're not there. They're like hanging off a washing pole.
In the middle of
Yes. And because of that, it completely threw his game. And he ended up bottom fragging or, bottom of the table, essentially, anyway. So has anything like that ever turned up in your games?
Well, probably, but nothing springs to mind at the moment. But I know, similar with like other sports and stuff. Yeah. Like I think the higher level you get in like badminton, you get like trick shots, or they might go to look like they're doing a smash, and then they might just like
it's like kind of fainting and faking things.
And like,
but if really some inexperienced guys just waving his arms wildly, you think, oh my god, this guy's a pro.
Well, it just throws you because like you're they hit it and they intend it to go the other side of the court, but actually accidentally hit it. High into the sky or off to the left accidentally, so they don't know where they're hitting it. So you look at the opponent, you don't look at like the shuttlecock. You're looking at them. How were they moving? Like, they're going to hit it in this manner. So you then, start moving before they even hit it. And with the new players, you're already moving like the wrong direction.
This reminds me of a story I read years ago, and oh god, it was a very long time ago, but about kind of like misdirection and making people think that you're very good at something. I think it was a Japanese general during kind of like feudal Japan, and I think his essentially his castle and fortress was about to be stormed, and he knew he was outnumbered, so he hid everybody, and he sat on top of a wall and played his flute.
Oh yes.
And the army turned up and went, "Why is he playing his flute?" And they were like, "There's something going on," and they just left. Because they were like, "Oh my god, clearly a trap is like right in front of us." Turns out, no, he had no idea.
Yeah, was that the Art of War? I think that was part of the Art of War.
Possibly Sun Tzu, Art of War. I haven't read the Art of War, but I might have listened to it through somebody else, through something else. But yeah, forgive me if it's completely wrong. Correct us if we are wrong. But yeah, that's essentially.
I did hear another one recently. Yeah. I can't remember who it was. It might have even been Napoleon or something. But essentially, the army came to like where they were sort of like bunkering down. They didn't have enough people, but there was 2 sets of forests either side.
Okay.
And what they did was they kept marching them round in a circle. So they'd go across this like patch of like between the trees. Yeah. And they'd see them going across, and it looked like there was more and more people joining this fort.
Oh wow!
So they were just but they were the same people going back round in circles.
Just giving this illusion of many people. Yeah.
And they just didn't attack. Oh no! It was the American Civil War, I think.
That was American. Yeah. I remember listening. Someone much more intelligent than me was educating me about the American Civil War, and they won essentially through tactics such as that, just misdirection, confusion, coming across as much bigger than they were. I also think, again, correct me if I'm wrong, is where the first adoption of guerrilla tactics happened. So they didn't fight on land, as in like face to face, like I'm going to run at you, you're going to run at me. Instead, they hid and shot at people, and then hid somewhere else, and then it very much very really scattered skirmish warfare essentially, which is kind of what won them the.
I mean, I definitely wouldn't say that was a new style of warfare.
It wasn't, but I think the British Army at the time were very much fighting in regiment on land. That's kind of what they were used to. Yeah. Not so much used to this kind of like everyone just running around wildly and causing problems.
It's tricky, isn't it? Yeah, when people don't do what you expect them to do.
And that's what I think to circle this back to the point. It's what I'm trying to say. That I think sometimes when people do things that you're not expecting, it can completely throw you off as well.
Yeah.
So that's my plan. I'm going to go into a London GT.
I'm just going to start
doing wacky stuff. Hope that gets to the top of the table.
Use my towers like melee.
Yeah. Just gonna, this is a melee tower army. Sorry, what? It's a melee tower. And they just go, oh God, this guy knows his rules really well. And I'm just there not knowing what's going on.
Well, actually, no, we do this, don't we? Because you guys think probably higher than my actual skill level is, but in Blood Bowl, when we've been playing that, I line up on the front in some weird manner, and you guys go, "Oh my God, what's he doing?"
Yeah, it's frightening.
And I've got a rough plan in my head, but like you take it so seriously and freak out about it that it completely blows up. Like, and it works for me.
Thankfully, this one time it didn't work for you when you set all your rats up in a ball to the left-hand side of the pitch. And I know you well, and you did this to everyone else, and it worked. And they went, "Oh, there's some sort of plan." I just went, yeah, he's just trying something. So I just ran the right side of the pitch. just got a touchdown. I was like, I know what you're doing here, pal. Don't you try and trick me.
I love it though. But that again, so I suppose that is one of those things, isn't it?
Yeah, it's experience, and all of this is that. It's just the game. In a very long-winded way to answer your question there, Matt, is that there are things that you do when you first start, but do them.
I think it's
just do them and learn. That's the only way you can do it. You just got to keep playing the game, and you got to make mistakes. And sometimes games go your way, and sometimes games just don't. They just won't go your way, and you'll know very quickly. It's not going your way, but just see it out, and then that's how you learn. So.
And you'll have epiphany moments, and you'll have moments where it's all going wrong. But those moments where it goes wrong, you've got another chance to learn something.
Of course, yeah, exactly. And there's always the next game. There's always the next game, and then when you go back to it, you've learned something new. So yeah, that's it. It's completely down to experience, I think. Shall we
Are we going to do our reveals?
Christmas models.
Oh, no. We need to announce who won the...
Oh, yes, of course. No, so we had a Christmas competition. Yeah,
Yep.
you've been a little bit more active on this with me. So do you want to take the reins on this one?
Yeah, so we obviously have been talking about our Christmas competition, our Christmas painting competition over the last couple of episodes. We didn't have as many entries as we may have liked, so we're thinking maybe next year would be better, or maybe throughout the year we're going to have a couple more.
I think we should have a few more because it's been quite exciting.
Yeah,
and again, we'll talk about this in a few moments about the painting of the model, but there's lots of events during the year. There's lots of seasons, and I think we should do this more regularly and get more people involved. It'd be really nice to see. You know, and even the few models we've had sent to us it's been amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. I really do.
It's just fun, isn't it? It's just something different. It makes you excited about that season. Yeah. Especially for me, like Christmas. It's just adding more Christmassy stuff.
Also gives you some motivation to paint as well.
And try new things. So we obviously put our posts out. We had 2 entries. One from a chap called Rich, who you can find on Painted by a Muppet on Instagram.
Was that Painted by a Muppet?
Painted by a Muppet, yep. And then we have our friend PJ.
P, he sent one in. Thank you very much, P.
Both really good models, actually. In fact, Painted by a Muppet or Rich submitted 2. Both fantastic, and he actually has been featured in a White Dwarf magazine previously. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so he's very good. Yeah. Really high quality painting, and really nice guy as well. Just talking to him is sound. So yeah, if you're out there listening to us, thank you guys. Thank you both, Rich, and thank you, P, as well. Honestly, both those entries very Christmassy, very much fit the theme. Yeah, and it's lovely, like seeing all these different models, and hopefully we get a bit more engagement next year. But you guys have started the trend, and hopefully we can keep it going.
You are the pioneers of the painting competition at the moment.
So I can announce that the results are in.
Yep.
And as you can probably imagine, we did get more votes for Rich, who is obviously the.
He painted a very, very nice model.
Yeah.
A very, very, very nice model. So, yeah, well done there, Rich. Everyone really loved your Christmassy take on your models. And I've got to say that the paint style was fantastic. And I don't know why, I was really drawn to the emerald green on the shield. It was really popping. It was really nice depth of green. And it stood really well against that kind of vibrant red of the armour.
I was really impressed with the green stuff. The sculpting.
Yes, the beard.
I thought that was incredible.
Yeah,
on both models, just really well done.
Yeah.
Something that I'm not great at.
Well, we'll reveal that in a second. But you did some Christmas hats, and they were amazing. And I wanted to replicate it, and I couldn't.
Yeah,
I just didn't have the skill.
But that's the thing that you've got to try, and it's a nice opportunity to try something new.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you so much, everybody, for joining.
Thank you, guys. Honestly, really good.
We'd love to have you on the show to discuss.
100%. P, I mean, we want to get you on the show anyway at some point. Rich, if you wanted to, it'd be really nice to interview you, talk about your painting style. Again, I've only just learned about the White Dwarf thing. That'd be really nice to talk about as well. Learn a bit about your experience around that. So, so thank you, guys. It's been really, really nice getting engaged. And as we said, we'll try and get more of these competitions out. I do want to do a few in the year. And, I know I've already had a little bit of interest. I think we possibly posted this a little bit late this year.
I mean, we're a brand new podcast, aren't we? So we haven't got a lot of people.
The run-up was probably a bit short, but now that we know, I've had interest. People have been texting me, sending me messages saying that they want to get involved as well. So let's say sometime in the springtime, maybe we'll try and launch another little competition. Yeah. We'll come up with some ideas, or if you guys have some ideas, send them out. It'll be what you want to see painted. Anything fun. It's got to be wacky as well. Not too serious. Really, really fun, wacky stuff. So. Yeah, so thanks for that, guys. Which brings us then
to our own
to
reveals.
The moment. To our own reveals.
How do you want to do it?
I don't know. How do you want to do this? I suppose we'll just uncover them.
Just unveil. An actual unveiling.
Whip it out.
So if I pull yours off and you pull mine off.
And then we'll do the models after. Okay, right, go on. Okay, you reveal mine. He's facing backwards.
Try aiming his gun at you.
There you go.
Can I have a look?
Of course you can. Yeah, there you go. You can do it. And can I reveal yours now?
Yes, of course. Yeah, go for it.
So I'm just going to... Oh, my word.
Oh, I like him.
Let's have a look.
So for those at home listening,
Sorry, there's going to be some silent moments here.
You can obviously have a good look at the Instagram pages for our posted models. But Callum has done a assassin.
It's a Vindicare Assassin. So that was the year 1 Warhammer Plus model.
Yeah. And it's the first time I've actually seen this model, but it's done in a very Christmassy aesthetic with candy cane type colouring and the red Santa type outfit for the actual assassin himself, with some presents at the bottom.
Yeah. So we'll get round to discussing these fully, how we got through. But we'll just go through this now. And James has done the red gobbo. Is that what it's the red gobbo?
Yeah.
And that is it the latest Christmas release? So
I think they've released 2.
Yeah.
I didn't know about the other one when I bought that one. It was a little bit delayed coming through, but I was thinking of doing like alternate colours. I was thinking maybe doing like an elf colour.
Okay. Yeah.
But I didn't quite have the bottle. I just decided
the bottle
to
as in like confidence or
confidence.
Not the bottle of paint. I didn't have the paints.
But
this is really good, honestly. So James has done the red gobbo. Obviously, super Christmassy theme. It's your reds all day long. You do red so well. Again, this can end up on the Instagram page, but you just get the contrast. The shading's really nice on it. It just looks very material, very leathery. The shading on the face. You've done a kind of candy cane, just like I have for the silencer. Really, you've done kind of like a green version of candy cane. Piece of dynamite, is that in his hand?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah, done, and a little sack there next to it as well, which just looks fantastic. Well done here, James. This looks really good.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm really happy with that.
This is really good.
Yeah, I mean,
I really like how you've done the terrain part at the back. I'm assuming that's what you were using for masking. You did like a masking there.
Where's that? Sorry,
this bit.
Oh yes, so the kind of that was masking tape. So it didn't come out exactly as I expected it to, but it was still the result that I was looking for. Yeah, I used masking tape, and this is the interesting thing. So I went all over Birmingham looking for something called whiteboard tape, which is like a 2mm wide tape. No one had it. It's really unknown thing. So I had to. If you see, there's a book on my desk over there. Yeah. So I got some tape, laid it out, used that book as a straight edge, and then measured 2mm, and then used a knife to cut a piece of tape into a 2mm strip.
Yeah, I tried this.
So speaking about this model, it 100% pushed me creatively, and I got so frustrated at it, and it hasn't come out exactly how they intended. I mean, your model just looks. I assumed yours was going to come out fantastic anyway, but there were certain issues I had with this one. But the thing I was really happy with was that it really pushed my creativity, and I had to, because it's not a Christmas model, I had to make it look Christmassy. So I had to push. How can I make a model that has no Christmas effects on it look like Christmas?
Yeah.
So the presents, the candy cane, the colours and all that kind of stuff. The creativity with me I went wild with it and thought, right, how can I make this look as Christmassy as possible?
And have you learned anything specific that you can take onto your...
masking tape is horrible.
Yeah.
It's not a nice medium to work with.
I did say that. I remember you texting me like, have you done masking tape before?
And you were like, yeah, it's horrible. And I was like, no, I'm sure it's fine. Yeah. Using green stuff as well. Green stuff's always really good because, you can. I mean, those presents are really simple. I mean, they're just blocks. Looking at Rich's hats, that's what I mean.
Like all the beard.
I think that's where you can really use green stuff to your advantage, when you can actually model properly.
If you're good at doing,
and you know what you're doing, you can make anything. Well, you can literally make anything. Yeah. So right now, though, I'm at the stage of making boxes, and that works very well.
I mean, that's
model.
hard enough, even.
So, and what about yours? What kind of experience did you have painting yours?
I spent quite a lot of time on it. I haven't really been painting to my full potential at the moment.
Okay.
In fact, actually, you've just reminded me picking that up. I tried some object light sourcing or source lighting, or whatever it is.
Yeah, no, you did at the back with the bulbs here. Yeah, they look
that was
good.
like a last minute thing. I'm not 100% sure I liked it, and I just kind of freestyled it. So
I get the effect.
Not my best effort, but
I can see the effect. You've done a very, very nice little effect here with the footprints. You imagine when you step in snow, that obviously the snow will move out of the way of your foot, and then
yeah.
you'll leave the ice underneath. You've got kind of an icy effect underneath the snow. That's really nice.
I did quite like that, yeah. But yeah, I also pushed up the contrast a little bit more, so like, you know, gave higher highlights on the edges. I probably could have gone a bit more, but I start getting quite uncomfortable with, because you can quite easily just ruin.
So I wasn't going to highlight mine up because I was too scared, because I didn't want to ruin it. And then last night at 2:00 in the morning, I don't know why, I tried to slap wash on it and highlight up, and I'm really happy I did, because it's completely brought out, you know, some of the texture in that. And that's the thing, I think, when it comes to painting, and when it comes to, if you want something to look really good, you have got to kind of risk it. And you've got to push it a little bit, and, you know, hope it's going to come out well.
Well, you're never going to learn without pushing to that next level, and it won't look great the first time. But you know what? You've done a really good job with this highlighting.
There's certain parts of it which have kind of gone awry a little bit, but
and you can keep like when you go back to it in the future, you can, you know, go up another level and another level and another level, and you can make it more subtle, and you can do like all sorts of different styles. But the fact that you've sort of started on that path now is really good, and it's really positive. You can take that for,
and that's it, and I learnt loads from that. And, you know, like I said, it's the risk taking and just trying things out. The masking tape, never done it before ever. Green stuff, never really touched it before. So yeah, I'm happy with that.
It's a really cool model.
It's a very cool model, isn't it? Yeah. So also the steel as well. I tried to get like a more of a cold steel.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so I didn't want to just paint it lead belcher, wash it, highlight it. So that was actually white initially, and then I used a
like a blue
wash. I think it's called Frost Heart Blue Wash.
Okay.
And then all of that's been done by dry brushing. So I actually dry brushed all the metallics onto it on top of this blue. So just to give the steel like a more of a colder look. Probably looks a bit cold for steel, but again, you know, this is what you do.
It works.
Yeah,
it works with you. It works with the colour scheme.
Again, so both these models are going to be on our Instagram page for you to look at. Obviously, you can't really see them right now at the moment, but and you guys can judge for yourselves and let us know, you know, what you think. And again, let's do this. Let's have more competition, and let's get more people involved, and, you know, and we'll go from there.
Yeah. I'm going to do this thing actually as well.
What are you going to do?
It's called Find the Gobbo or Spot the Gobbo.
Spot the Gobbo. We're playing this right now, or is this going to be something we're doing in the future?
It's going to be something in the future.
Okay, it's right here. It's quite an easy game. It's right there.
I have to get better at hiding the Gobbo.
Yeah, it's quite a poor job. You literally handed it to me.
I hid him under that bit of paper.
Oh yeah. Sorry. Go on. Spot the Gobbo.
So I'm going to bring him along to future games. Take pictures of those games, and then people will hopefully have to try and find him.
Nice, a bit like Where's Wally, or Waldo, as they say in the US. But so it's basically a Where's Wally of the Warhammer world.
Right.
Where's Wally of the Warhammer world? There you go. It's a nice bit.
Yes.
Okay, fantastic.
Bit of fun, really.
Yeah, that sounds really fun. Yeah, and then obviously you put it, you know, we'll put it up online, and then you guys have got to spot it. That's quite a nice idea. I really like that. No.
I was going to reveal it just in a picture, but I thought, I got excited and told everyone.
I love it. That's what we do best. Okay, so, you know, we are coming up towards the end of the year now. We've had a lot of fun with this podcast, haven't we, so far? I mean, we're on episode 4. We've got a lot of plans going forward. We really do. We'll discuss that, you know, shortly. But as it's the end of the year, it's December now, Christmas in time of recording in 2 days, New Year's next week. James, would you like to tell me what's been your top 3 Warhammer moments of this year?
Well, I think number 1 would have to be our trip to Warhammer Fest.
Yes, that was an experience.
Which,
I
remember going back in the car feeling really disappointed.
I think it's been discussed online quite a lot. It was the best event. Yeah, it wasn't the best event.
It looked really good in the entrance, and then it kind of got worse from then and onwards.
There's a lot of frills, but no substance. Yeah, I'd say so.
But saying that,
go on. Yeah,
still a fantastic,
really fun
time away. It was
really,
great
really
just to nerd out for the day, see everybody else in our community just also going a bit crazy and enjoying themselves, and just hanging out with you guys and
It was a good time. It really was.
And getting really excited about 10th coming up.
Yes,
So
because that was the
the highlight of it. Yeah.
10th kind of just come in then. Or no, it was just
coming,
about to come. Yeah, it was just about to come.
So they were demoing the games.
Playing a demo game with the guys was really fun.
Yes,
We sat in that auditorium and asking questions was quite fun as well. I think some people asked some really nice questions,
really good ones,
really good questions, especially around because they only just announced indices.
Yeah, and they were going to be free.
They were free, and then suddenly, which I mean, I say suddenly, everyone expected this, but it's like, oh well, it's always going to be free, and they're like, no,
they will be free to begin with.
They were free now, but
when we release the codexes,
exactly, which I suppose was not a shock, but people were asking these questions. So somebody asked a really good question about when you buy something online, it gets sold out immediately to bots and to scalpers. Yes. And that's a really good question around how you combating scalpers, and we learned some really good stuff from that. Essentially, that they can't really stop it because it's a law. Yeah, there's a law apparently you can't stop people from buying things in a way. I mean, you could probably look this up. I don't know. Can't remember now. It's obviously it's quite a long time ago now, but essentially there's a law that stops them from stopping people from buying lots of stuff, and they're trying to combat it. And I think the Leviathan release was really well done. They'd obviously printed enough, and people managed to get. I mean, I got a copy of it. I wasn't even expecting it, and after 6 hours after release, I was like, "Oh, they're still here. I'll get one then."
And we went to a game day, didn't we? And there was just boxes everywhere.
There were boxes everywhere. I went to my local GW. They had boxes in it, and I was just like, "Okay, they've clearly worked on this." However, I think the Christmas box sets at the moment are all sold out.
Yeah, so I was going to say
gone back
that. Yeah, back to normal. Nothing in stock.
So that's your first one. What's your second one?
The second one is about 10th. So obviously 10th was released this year.
Oh, we should have compared notes.
Yeah, I'm assuming that yours are probably pretty similar. But it's good. It gives us a talking point. So, so 10th edition obviously was released and... Yeah, just excited about it. I remember being very, very, very excited, texting everyone frantically, being like, "Oh, I just want it now."
I probably have a slightly different viewpoint to you, which we'll discuss in a bit. But yeah, it's really, really good.
I don't know how I feel about 10th at the moment, but
you're saying this
it's still a big, a big change. It's still enjoyable. It's good in some ways.
It's still new, and I think there's still a lot of places that can go with it. We'll probably end up with 100 stratagems at the end.
Yeah, and re-rolling everything again.
Re-rolling everything
all
again.
All the stuff that tried to get rid of. But that happens in every edition anyway.
Of course,
bloat starts happening, which is why they changed the edition.
And your third?
And then my third is the podcast, really.
Yes, of course. I feel bad now. I've not mentioned that.
It's just an exciting bit to, discuss and maybe become a bit more engaged with the community. I mean, I've already been talking to people on Reddit and people in the, seeing everybody's fantastic paint jobs on Instagram, which, by the way, it's quite hard to look at sometimes because they make you feel bad about your own painting.
Yeah, well, and you know what? In the new year, we'll have an episode on this because it has affected me. There is some really, really, really good stuff out there. And I listened to a podcast the other day with, with a pro painter, and he said that it's just getting better. Yeah, which is both great and also depressing at the same time because it's getting better and better, and you always feel like you're a little bit more behind. But end of the day, it's supposed to be fun, and that's what it's about sharing.
And everybody wants to see great models.
Yeah, exactly.
So we all win.
So my top 3 moments. So my first one would be Mortarion, the model.
Okay,
so I wanted him for a very long time. He is a real grand piece. Yeah. I'm actually not very far off now from getting him. Hopefully finished. Almost on the table, yeah. So having a large... For me, the painting side of things has always been the thing I'm most interested in. Playing actually came secondary, even though I enjoy it a lot. And I wanted something I could really sink my teeth into. So finally getting my hands on Mortarion and painting him has been really, really exciting and, again, pushing that skill boundary.
Yeah.
Second was 10th edition. Of course. Actually, you just said as well. My perspective, though, being that I'm a newer person. I only knew 9th.
Yeah.
So it was exciting for me to see an addition,
a different change.
Yeah, I've never seen an addition change before, and it was. And I think 10th is very different. Would you say from 8th to 9th, 7th to 8th?
There's big enough changes for it to feel.
I think it's quite a change, isn't it? So that was super exciting. That whole, just to interlink with Warhammer Fest, that whole vibe during the summer of 10th coming out, Warhammer Fest, it was super exciting having all that, and
it wasn't done as well as when they announced 9th. I think it was 9th.
Yeah.
They just had, I think it was, they had loads of different shows and announcements,
Yeah.
and they've like drip fed stuff really well.
But that's the thing that just excites me then for 11th.
Yeah.
I imagine it will be, 10th was brand new, almost a little bit of a different system to things, and so 11th will be kind of hopefully their refined version of this, and hopefully that'll be
getting
really
better
exciting.
at that engagement.
Better at that.
And what have you, how have you found 10th? And
I like 10th, but I like it because it is simplified. Their motto was simplified, not simple.
Yes, that's it. Yeah, simplified.
They've definitely achieved that. It's definitely easier to get into Warhammer now in 10th. I think their combat patrol game system is genius. I really think it's genius because previously to play a game you need to buy all the models, and it's quite expensive. Whereas now with combat patrol, let's say I want to play Sisters tomorrow, I can go and buy Sisters, and I can play a game. Yeah, given that I can assemble it and paint it in time, but I can play a game. I play Admech, Custodes, anyone, So that system I think is really, really good. Obviously, it's been done for a reason. They want people to do exactly what I've just said. Go out and buy more models. That's what it's about. They're a model business. However, from playing 9th, it has lost a bit of its flavour. I'm much more of a narrative type player. Yeah. I don't tend to play super competitively. I really like stories and thinking about stories around it, and I miss because with Space Marines, they had their own codexes for each chapter. You could really play your own chapter's rules, and I mean you can still do that now, but it's all been kind of like pushed into one little box, hasn't it? Really.
So that customization has gone.
Yeah, the customization, warlord traits. There's only like 4 now. Equipment. So like an intercessor squad could have like a bolt rifle or also bolters or stalker bolt, but now it's kind of all the same. And obviously 9th as well had points attached to that, so you had to allocate your points into your weapons as well. And again, the whole narrative based thing. When you build an army, I almost imagine them like in the armory. In the armory, like okay, what we're going to take? What's ready for this battle? We can't take stalker bolt rifle because that's currently in the nihilist system. So we have to take these, and so that. But now it's all been blobbed in, and that's the only thing that I'd probably bothered about a little bit. Yeah, I know you've probably got a few more opinions about it, which we'll go through at some point.
And what about your transition phase? What's that been like? Because you said it's the first time that you've transitioned from an edition to a different edition.
It was good.
Yeah, so it's been a positive experience overall.
Yeah. It's hard to learn at first. There are a lot more rules. Well, not just different rules. Rules to learn. I think what helped is that I didn't fully grasp 9th rules anyway. Okay. So it was easy just to move away and just go, well, okay, well, forget that. Yeah, these are the rules now. But I imagine probably a little bit more different for you because you've got like, what, 6, 7, 8 editions in your head?
Editions, yeah.
So you've been playing what, since 3rd, was it?
I don't know.
Yeah.
A long time. Too many, too long.
And my third thing is the group.
Oh, yes.
Being you guys accepting me in. And it's been really, really nice. And every time I get invited down to play with all you guys, I honest to God look forward to it. Yeah. It's really, really lovely. And everyone that I've been introduced to through this hobby has been fantastic. You've all been very accommodating. We've had really good fun times. We've had very silly times. Yeah. Super silly times. And it's kind of ironic. I think if you don't know Warhammer, you'd think it's this nerdy thing you do in your bedroom. But I've made more friends now than I have in the past 5 years because I now collect lumps of plastic.
Yeah. And you'd love talking about those lumps of plastic.
Talking about those lumps of plastic. And we're on a podcast right now talking about lumps of plastic. And it's just been really enriching and really fantastic. So I just want to say thank you to you as well. You've helped me into this and you've introduced me to all the people you know, and I know now that Dave's part of a local group and P's part of a local
many
group.
More areas,
and there's even
lots of people that we
coming up to the new year. We're probably going to meet a lot of these people.
Yeah, it'd be great,
and so that's been a really, really positive experience for me for this. So
good.
So thank you.
Good.
Yeah, and that's it. I think. Yeah, I think we've spoken about everything we can. This is the end of the year. Yeah, it's been a fantastic journey so far.
Been a great start.
What have we got coming up in the new year then? What's our plans?
So I think we want to try and get into a bit more of the video side of things,
which we're doing currently, aren't we?
Sort of dabbling with, but not only improve the quality that we're sort of putting out, but also look at maybe recording our games, doing battle reports, maybe even codex reviews, things like that. Yeah, both video and non-video.
Also, I did say I want to try and attend more events. We have just acquired a portable recording device, haven't we? So we'd like to attend some events and start to talk to some people out there, talk to you guys, get out and about in the field, and and see what the opinion is on the street. So that's something we want to look into too.
We have also decided to open a Patreon.
Yes, we have.
Obviously, with the intent to provide a better quality service. Ideally, if we can sort of upgrade our equipment and maybe support us, putting out better quality content more often.
And that's exactly what the Patreon is for. It's not because we're looking to just
make a profit
off this. It's literally because we just want this to be good. And we want to make it better, and we've got the equipment we've got now, which is fantastic. We're really lucky and really blessed to have this equipment, and it'd be nice that we can keep upgrading. So obviously we're going to keep upgrading it ourselves, but if you want to support us, if you really like what you're listening to, and you enjoy listening to our voices in your ears for an hour and a bit every 2 weeks, then please, come and support us, and we'll make this better and better every day.
And I think if nothing else, the fact that you're with us, joining us, is the most important part of that.
Yeah,
we just love having you with us and listening, and it means a lot to us that even people just come along and listen.
As I just said, the community to me is a big thing, and I want more of that. So I want to help more people do that, and this is exactly what all this is for. It's literally just because we're two nerds who love something, and we want everyone else who loves it to join us as well.
Yes.
And that's what it's about. So that's it then.
Yeah,
I think we've come to the end. James, thank you. It's been a wonderful year so far, and we're going to hopefully have a really good time going into the next year as well, to 2024.
Yeah, it's been very good. Thank you, Callum.
Yeah, okay. So you can find us on Instagram, the Chatter Vox on Instagram, or also we're out and about on Reddit, aren't we?
We're having a few technical issues
with Reddit at the moment. We'll get some of these links up. I was about to say you can email us as well, but we've got some technical issues with email as well.
Not going well on the tech front.
Yeah, we do have an email address, so if you do want to email us, it's the voxcastpod@gmail.com. That's the voxcastpod@gmail.com. That's our current working email address. That's going to change again in the new year. Again, find us on Instagram as well. We are also on Facebook at the Chatterbox. Anything else you want to say before we close off for 2023?
Just that the machine spirit is grumpy with us.
Yeah, we have angered the machine spirit, unfortunately. It's okay, and a member of the Mechanicus is on the way. He'll be here between 9 and 5 on Monday. Okay, we're going to call it there then, guys. So that's it from me, Callum.
And me, James.
And have a great Christmas, guys. Happy hammering.